when it folds down to the 2 mix, I noticed that, I didn't make the extreme cuts on a lot of the
because you're mixing it like you would starting with the Atmos.
Where that's on the forefront.
Yeah.
And the 2.0, when it folded down, it worked great. And I was like, what is it doing?
Yeah.
That makes it
fit
still work and have clarity the clarity.
Because on a 2-bus mix, you would normally have to do a lot more cutting
Dolby's
and processing.
Figured it out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what I would say. I'd say
they're doing something in the fold down process.
I think so. That compensates
some of that and like is piecing some of those things together in a harmonious way, I guess.
In a pleasing way.
Donnie, how you doing, man?
Good.
Good to have you. Dude, I'm very excited. I don't think I've had you on the podcast yet. I don't think at all. We've done other podcasts together, which have been really fun for the studio. Shout out to the Studio 101 channel for letting us use all of the equipment in the space and everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Studio 101.
Yeah. Shout out Brad for housing us lonely people. But yeah, I don't think I've had you on yet, and I'm very pumped to talk about like live stuff, guitars, Atmos mixing, like all that kind of stuff. But I would say just for like 30,000 foot view for the people who may not know who you are, why don't you give them like who you are and what you do as it pertains right now?
These days, I'm the front of house production manager for Corey Smith, country music artist. I've been with him 15 years now. It's crazy that I know.
That's crazy, dude.
Nobody gets gigs like that anymore. I feel very fortunate.
Yeah. I'm about to say that is actually very rare in the business these days of having like us. Honestly, anything past like 5 or 6 years is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Nowadays in the live music world, I feel like people rotate so much.
Corey's a cool guy. Great songwriter. The crew, everybody. It's just a big family
for
on the road. Going back, I got started. I was just playing in a garage with my buddies. When I was 15 years old.
Yeah,
and we would just go rehearse every day. And
originally South Carolina,
North Carolina.
I couldn't
remember. Just north of Charlotte, Salisbury, North Carolina.
Gotcha. Moonville, baby.
Yeah. I had this a band that we call Noun Rationale. We picked the name by just opening a dictionary and just putting our finger on it, and that's how it really. That's how we do.
That's fantastic.
And somehow, these kids that were just like, just coming up with original music in a basement, we ended up winning like a big battle of the bands.
Yeah.
Got to go do shows with Richard Marx, and it kind of just like got us enough attention to get a booking agent. We started playing all over the East Coast, for years. That band kind of ran its course. I started a band called Museum, and we opened for like Dixie Dregs and Widespread Panic. We didn't know at the time we were a jam band. We were just creating music.
Yeah,
we had it's kind of before it was genre specific.
Sure.
And I met tons of people. I was the guy in the band that always had to learn how to do sound.
Yeah.
There's always that guy that,
Oh yeah. I am that guy most of the time.
You're the guy.
I am that guy most of the time in anything that I do.
That's what happened to me.
I feel like those guys end up always being the studio guys also.
Yeah. We were just doing it out of necessity. I mean,
sure.
I started recording my band Museum. We did one record at Reflections with Steve Hagler that did like the Pixies and Bob Mould and REM stuff. And I learned a lot, from that experience. Even though as short as it was, I was paying attention. I was like, I can do this. That's like, if this guy can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, I can push these buttons and place these mics.
And it took me, just trial and error, like working on. So
for sure.
That led to all the work I was doing with the band led to doing live sound.
And which is primarily kind of where you live.
Where I ended up. That's where I ended up
for the last like, well, really like 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah, I started a sound company in Charlotte, and I was fortunate enough to work with a promoter, this guy named Rocky Scarfone. He had some big rock clubs, and he leased sound systems from
Mhm.
me. That I build the sound system in my bedroom,
Like packages.
and I would
Yeah.
install it and then hire the guys to work for me,
Nice.
which was awesome because
Yeah.
I'm like my buddies were,
Yeah.
you know,
You get to
I,
hire your friends to work with
exactly.
you.
So
Yeah,
everybody
that's
was
the
getting
best.
paid. It was cool. And during that time when I was doing that stuff, I met this guy named Billy Hewlin, who ended up being Hootie and the Blowfish's front of house guy.
Mhm.
Billy was going to college at App State. He would come down to the club that I worked at, and he was curious about doing sound. So I was getting burnt out because we were doing like 4
Yeah.
nationals a week, and I was just like killing myself
Yeah.
to, you know. So I was like, man, yeah, come in here. I'll show you how to do it.
Mhm.
And so we got to be friends. And then when Hootie and the Blowfish took off,
Yeah.
Billy hired me.
No, there you go. There you
So
go, dude.
I ended up doing all their world tours. I was
Mhm.
a monitor engineer, stage manager.
It's awesome.
I actually started as guitar tech.
No, nice.
And then
Funny how
during
that works.
it's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you know, the training I had earlier
Yeah.
trained me for the moment
For sure.
that I got the
But you also
opportunity.
knew how to fix all the stuff and you became extra handy in
Yeah,
that environment as well, I'm
exactly,
sure. Yeah.
exactly.
So it
So
makes you like more, I don't know, more malleable in the job where you can kind of slot into wherever you need
yeah,
to.
you can, you know, um, you know, you can either like work in construction or you can
Mhm.
find a way to work in the music. But I always
Yeah.
felt like if I could just have, you know, my hand in something in the music with music, it will be rewarding.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've ended up doing all kinds of crazy things. I mean,
So
you know,
15 years you've been doing this with Corey specifically. And then probably what, 30, 40, 30 years in its
yeah,
entirety, like as on the professional side of it, you would say?
yeah, yeah. That's probably, man, it's going on.
Yeah, it's going.
It's
It's
going,
going.
and
It's
I'm still
going.
going.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
It's really
great.
cool. Yeah.
So, what would you say is the biggest thing for artists whenever they're looking at like working on their live sound, especially if they're like working into the touring package, the
Mm-hmm.
touring market,
Mm-hmm.
especially like, you know, they're getting first of a lot of like the artist would be like first of 4 artists or getting their first kind of gigs going and stuff, and they're pretty green. I've ran into a couple artists myself where like I've worked with them and they're pretty big names, and surprisingly like their production teams just don't
Mm-hmm.
they just don't
I
know
think a
what.
lot of people it's kind of an afterthought because
Yeah,
the path for artists to get recognized now is totally different than it was
yeah,
when in the
but I
90s.
feel like that's changing. I feel like
Yeah.
as we kind of move into the new world
Mm-hmm.
with like generative AI being able to make content more now, and that's becoming like a rampant thing flooding the socials. And like everybody needs to make content. Well, if everybody's making content and some of it's generative and some of it's not, getting blur as we blur the lines more and more between like what's real and what's not,
Mm-hmm.
what people will find is that they're probably going to lean more into the live space, and those
Right.
places are going to be a lot more. You're gonna see a massive uptick, I think, in
I hope
in
so.
ticket sales and like
Yeah.
the live show experience. So with that in mind, for some of these like younger artists that or producer artists, because we have a lot of like those kind of people too. They're
Mm-hmm.
like the producer artist kind of people, or self-producing artists. And they're going into like the live space for the first time where they really haven't had to in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
What would you think is like the big checklists for like these younger people?
I honestly think the main thing that they should do. I mean, I know that this is
Because they're also going to like in my mind they're also going on a
it's
package, so like that gets a little
you know,
complicated.
it's
So
a probably minimum of a $5,000 commitment
mhm.
is what I would say to get yourself some type of monitor mixer and then get everybody on ears like
Yeah.
as soon as possible. Rehearse that way. Like carry your own microphones, carry a mic package and a little mixer
Mhm.
that somebody in the band can run, and you
Yeah.
have tails that just go to the front
And
of
that's
house guy.
somebody's job.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say if you learn, if their band, if you can find the time,
Mhm.
and if people are inclined to want to rehearse these days,
Yeah.
a lot, then you're going to be a way better group, and you're going to have consistency. And that consistency every night builds confidence. And then that confidence, when you're performing, you're not looking at your shoes.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Crowd interacting.
you're
You're
having
crowd facing.
fun,
Yeah.
and you're
Which makes it a better show ultimately, regardless.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of new young artists that come out, and they haven't put the time in
Yeah,
on
for
that
sure.
stuff, and it,
100%.
Well,
I mean, so like we played with an artist, me and somebody that I tour with sometimes played with an artist, and he blew up off TikTok, had never played a show in his life, was just a songwriter that wrote songs and blew up off TikToks that he made, which is great. It's cool that can happen.
Yeah. He's probably relying on you guys more than anything to see how you were.
Well, he went straight into selling out 500 cap rooms across the country, 40 dates, 500 to 700 caps, selling them all out. Had never toured or played a show in his life outside of just like a coffee shop gig. Had never done a proper production, especially not like a headlining show. And I think we're starting to see a lot more of that be the norm.
Well, how did he react to it? Like,
I mean, the first tour went off decently well. He just like, there was no, it didn't feel like a show. It felt like a dude getting up with some guys and playing some songs. Whereas like, as you know, like building the show is a part of the creative side
having
of
some
like
ebb and flow in the show,
knowing what to say, when to say it, transitions between songs.
I would say that's another huge thing is when you go perform, have some memorized lines that pertain to what you're talking. I mean, like, and it's okay to say the same thing every night because you're in a different city.
Yeah.
Nobody really responds. You don't have to say it the same way, but at least have a subject matter.
So we played with James Tucker, who you met, and
love James.
He says essentially the same lines every time we play before certain songs.
Yeah.
To cue up the songs.
That's how you do it.
And it's like a good, because he knows what to say, and there's like certain stories that he tells in certain times. Comes across confident, gets us like from point A to point B, gives us a chance to like take a breather, especially like drums, because some of those songs we're playing are like, train beat drums where it's like they're moving. And so like, it gives us everybody a second to just breathe, catch your breath, tune, go. And it's like, we don't really have to think about it. We just roll. That James has been doing that for a very long time. That is a mark of like a seasoned professional in like the touring world, is like knowing how to just like grab. But it also does, like what you said, shows confidence and shows. I was showing like another artist that I'm working with. She came to see us play with James, and I was like, watch how he like interacts with the crowd, what he says when he says it, getting from one song to the other. Not only does it just do the practical aspect of getting from one song to the other, but also exudes an insane amount of confidence. Like you control the moment and the stage and the crowd, and you get them locked in with
the best performers. They all do that.
Yeah. I mean, like Corey's a great example of that. Absolutely. He owns the crowd.
I mean, Corey is a wordsmith. Even when he's just hanging out with people, he's very measured. In the things that he says. Yeah. It's just who he is. He comes across really confident on stage. It's probably like he was a history teacher. Yeah. So
but he was also, when he started doing the music thing, was like a road warrior proper.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like before you came on, like he was, because I knew of him just from because he's from around here, from the Athens area, and like I just had heard of him, and I know for a fact dude was constantly on the road, constantly like going up and down the coast, and then doing a stint over, and then coming back and doing more coast shows. And he was constantly in South Carolina and Georgia and North Carolina playing all this stuff. And dude, you just get reps. Sometimes it's just reps, and understanding that
Reps are
like
great, man.
sometimes understanding that like you're not going to get it right out the gate. And maybe like to some of these people that are newer, that are kind of like thinking about this whole AI thing and like seeing the potential progression into a more live centric world, which, like I said, I hope that is the case.
I mean, hopefully, but that's where, you know, you can get, that's your best option to get paid.
True. And from a pay perspective, it's kind of where the money is in the music industry right now.
Right now. Yeah.
So like the people thinking forward into that mindset, find out a way to, before you are on the big stage doing that, find some places to fail easier.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, cause it's inevitably going to happen.
Listen, I mean, like, there's no way to do it except for just, you know, jump in.
Yeah.
With both.
I feel like it's like comedy, right?
Yeah.
It's like
you have to fail.
You gotta bomb.
You have to fail.
Yeah, you're gonna bomb. It's not a factor of if. It's going to happen.
You're gonna do it.
Yeah,
is it gonna scar you, or are you just gonna bounce back and you're gonna you know,
learning how to keep
a
cool head under pressure
on the next hole.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
You got a blow up hole, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Or like learning how to I think the best people is like that know how to take those moments and turn them into good moments, not bad moments.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a learning.
Yeah. Well, Need to Breathe. So Need to Breathe was a great example of this that happened like early on in their career. I only know this because of some friends that toured with them early on in their career. They played a bunch of shows, and then one night, like the power went out, and then it was near the end of the set. They only had a couple songs left, and the power went out. And then, so they like went mid crowd and just 3 dudes playing like a banjo and 2 acoustics and sang with the crowd.
Right.
Great moment.
Yeah.
Then what they did is they turned that into a moment that they then replicate on their normal sets now, just because the moment was so
they felt
cool.
The energy.
Yeah.
Work.
So they were like, oh, that just worked.
Yeah.
So now let's just do that all the time to create these really cool moments. It's like the best people, I think, know how to think on their feet and be creative in the moment enough to do like that kind of stuff, where it's like turning it into like really, really cool moments. So doing the live thing, that's only one part of what you do. It's kind of only really one side of what you do. I would say it is really only one half of what you do. Yeah.
I actually spend more time now working in a recording studio.
Yeah.
And producing artists.
Which you had done before.
I did.
You had done before.
I've done before. I've had several commercial studios, you know, that I was able to start.
Up in the Charlotte area, and one in Columbia?
I had one in Columbia called
thought.
Gothic that I was partners with a friend of mine, Rodney. And we did a lot of cool things there. You know, the Craven Melon record was recorded there. A lot of great bands from Charleston would come up and record with us.
A lot of the, I think I remember you saying you did a lot of the Hootie demos in that Charleston.
Like, they come over and
Columbia
just do their
studio.
pre-production stuff. You know, in there.
Demoing out the ideas and different song ideas and stuff.
We did. I was in a band post Hootie called the Ultraviolets, and we actually opened for Hootie on their. It's probably a little bit of nepotism going on there. You know, they just bringing their buddy in.
Hey, man.
You know, so we had a band for a while, and for 10 years I did that. I got out of doing live sound. I played music again.
Yeah.
And until I met Corey, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
and you're still doing the live stuff, but moving into the studio world, but it seemed like you had the studio world kind of always while you were doing the live stuff, but it was less of a priority because like the live world it just takes up so much time.
It takes up time. You have to travel.
You're just not there to do it.
And I love doing live sound.
Yeah.
There's not, it's, if you're with the right artist, you feel like you're in the band.
Yeah.
Because it's your interpretation that everybody else gets to hear
100%
of that artist, you know, and how you present them to the audience. And
I have a buddy who does playback for a band, and he's a drum tech. And he was with a band previously that broke up, and he's with the new band now. He was telling me when he was with the first band, like he would do monitors for him a lot on the road, and like he was firing the tracks. He was part of the show. Like he start and stopped the song. He was the transitions from point A to point B. He was running the show basically, and they were performing, but he was the one orienting like how the show ran. Which, and like with the new band that he's in, he's doing the same position, but he just doesn't. The camaraderie isn't there as much as the first band, and he definitely doesn't feel like you said, if you're in a good situation, which I feel like you definitely are, and like he was previously, it's like when you're in a good situation, you do feel like you're kind of like a part of the show, like orchestrating it all.
Even back when I was working with Hootie, Darius started like it was blowing me away because I'm over there doing monitors,
which is insanely important.
It was a huge responsibility at that level. It's probably one of the biggest tours in the world,
especially at that time. Yeah, because they were.
It was
insane.
right when in-ear monitoring and wedges. It was a hybrid system. We'd have 10 mixes on stage of wedges, and then 3 stereo ear mixes that you're monitoring at once.
Yeah.
Because some people liked ears and some didn't.
Yeah. Drummers tend to like ears a lot because it's a wild right there. Yeah.
Time. And then
I feel like vocalists probably also really like ears a lot.
Ears are the way to go for vocals.
Because you can just isolate your vocal, your voice. You have a better sense of pitch, I feel. But maybe that's just me.
Darius would the encores. He would say, Donnie, come out here and he would hand me his guitar and I would play on the encores.
Awesome.
So that's the kind of vibe that I think is incredible that a band can have. Those guys, we never had a set list.
Yeah. They were very jam band.
They're awesome.
They were so.
It was fun.
Point,
it was a really fun time.
But one foot in that world the whole time, while also having the studio world. What kind of, as you were doing the Corey stuff, and he slowed down over the years doing.
We're doing 60 shows a year now.
Yeah, which is great. I think that's 50 to 70 is a sweet spot, to be honest. Which now allows you to do more, go back to the studio world and do a lot more. So here, you have an Atmos room, you have a spot at your house, you have a guitar company, kind of that feeds both studio guitarists and other live guitarists as well, like Catlin, our friend Catlin.
Yeah, I've got several. I have my guitar company is called Sugar Guitars. If anybody wants to check them out there. I built a guitar. A friend of mine and I got together and I came up with this concept for a design. So built one. Everybody seemed to like it, and I was like, how can I scale this up? And so I just dove in and learned how to I learned how to do it. I just got online and I learned how to do all the luthier work, and I applied myself, and the next thing you know, I have guitars out with Jordan Lawson plays guitar with Carrie Underwood. He plays one. We got Catlin Owens playing one. The guy in the guys from the Vagabonds. We got tons of Richard. I got a lot of guys out there playing the guitar, and
which is sick. And not only that, studio guys too. Yeah, guys up in Asheville, guys in Nashville.
There's tons of guys that are playing them.
We have them here that they get used a lot at the studio here. Weirdly here, it's national records getting cut all the freaking time. Nobody would know.
No,
nobody would know. But yeah, it's Riley Green records getting pieces of it getting cut here. Brian's records getting cut here with Catlin and all this other cool stuff that's happening. So it's your guitars are kind of stepping into both of your worlds.
People are hearing and playing my guitars. At a high level.
Yeah, which is pretty sick.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just a one-man show.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, I think I mean I've played your guitars. I think they're sick. And it's very unique looking as well. And I think I've shown your guitars to like every guitarist I've brought in here, and they're always
Cool.
like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, thank
this
you.
is really dope."
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, dude, of course. And you also have the studio side, which is like the Atmos mixing and I mean really just like production and mixing in general. For this building in particular, you have the
Atmos guy.
Yeah, you are the Atmos guy. I would love to hear from your perspective. Like, one, what made you go like Atmos is the way for me?
Okay.
And then let's start there, and then we'll kind of get into like how you learned how to do it, which I think is a whole nother world. So like what struck your fancy on like the Atmos thing?
Okay. I think being a live engineer, having the feeling of hearing music presented that way, like through a big sound system,
Yeah.
right? Is a more enveloping experience. When people go see a live show, they want to be immersed in the music,
For sure.
right? And that feeling is, I thought that's something that like I feel like I could get out of the Atmos thing, where you're not like, you don't want to be weird with your productions, like making things fly around.
Yeah, which you can.
I mean, you can do those things. My goal is to make the listener feel like they're more inside of the mix.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's what my education over time, my training
Sure.
in my brain.
Yeah.
So I hear things differently like that. Like my wife's it drives her crazy.
It does. I feel that. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense from like the you coming from the live sound world, and like immersive audio, spatial audio, whatever you want to call it, is kind of the studio version of that.
Yeah.
Of the live show.
It's just it's a way to tickle the senses for people that are music lovers. I mean, if you haven't heard what spatial audio sound, I mean, it's so available now. Like most people have an iPhone.
Yeah.
Most people have
access to
AirPods,
something,
and
you can get it. And you can get Apple Music. So like you can get a free trial to Apple Music to try it out.
Yeah. And so it's the barrier, to entry to listen to it is like everybody has it now. All the automotive manufacturers are going to be putting in the cars.
A lot of the electric vehicle companies are putting them in their cars, which is really cool.
That's great because it's so quiet already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like you have, and they also have more space, like because it's so hollow.
Yeah,
like a lot of the chassis are so hollow,
perfect.
You can like place the speakers in weird spaces. Yeah,
I feel like it's the new stereo. It's going to take a while for everyone to be kind of like, oh, this is like if you're a video gamer, you've already been introduced to this world a while back.
Yeah. This is only new to music,
right?
Like theater world is got close to it because they do what, 7?
Yeah,
not because and to be spec specific, spatial audio's specs are 9.
No,
or 7.
The basic entry is 714.
7.1.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's 7 speakers in a horizontal plane. Sub
as the 1.
Sub is your 1, and then 4 is your left and right fronts and left and right rear.
Got it.
And those are all independent. You can send.
And is that's similar to movie theaters?
Similar.
It's not the same because don't they do like a 7 6?
But they do some crazy time alignment with a lot of speakers because of the shapes of the buildings.
Yeah, and they're longer hallways. They're basically big hallways.
Right.
Yeah.
So so
technically that theirs would probably be like a 9-2-9 or something like that. Yeah. Something crazy.
And you can go up. Yeah, you can do like you could have layers. I know people have 9-1-6.
Yeah. That's crazy. Actually, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. But yeah. it kind of brings in like you said, the video game world's been doing this for a really long time with like the VR space that's been around for forever, and like audio wise, that like head tracking stuff has been around for a really long time. This is kind of, I mean, it's been around for a minute. I think at this point, it's probably been around for like what 4 or 5 years at this point in an infancy stage. And so like I feel like now it's kind of at its most developed stage within the last like 2 years, really.
Well, Pro Tools, you know, made it where you can render directly from the software. You don't have to have, you know, outside software to render.
Which before I think Waves was the only one that had like a render.
The Dolby renderer.
The Dolby renderer,
yeah. So I mean, it makes it easy, and most, you know, most DAWs now can do it.
Yeah.
And if they can't do it now, they'll by end of next year,
they'll probably have the ability to.
They'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
The whole thing about doing Atmos is not that complicated. And there's several companies recently that have come out with ways to more manage the overall compression per channel per output. Because that's the challenge with you know, most people that mix on a stereo mix, you're mixing into a bus.
Yeah.
You know? So you
just a left and right
it's
tube
top
bus.
down.
Yeah.
You know, mixing into a stereo bus, so you can use that compression and everything to excite your mix and pull things.
And there are
forward.
some things you can do with like mid-side things that kind of manipulate it, but it's primarily within a left and right scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so all the guys that are, you know, that are stereo mixers and stuff, a lot of them, they've been doing that for so long. I think when they get into an Atmos, for them is like they're like, man, I don't know, because how would I do that? How can I use my methodology to create an exciting mix
in that spread
when I'm having to use compression on every subgroup to achieve the same thing.
It is a different way of mixing.
It's a whole different way of mixing.
Yeah, it is a different way of mixing. Yeah,
you have to like really be able to dissect like the drums. You have to build that drum sound basically in your head in the stereo mix, and with the intent that that's the way it's going to sound on the output.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
that makes sense. Makes sense.
It's just a little more complex.
Sure.
But like I said, I've been doing this for I've been dissecting music
spatial
for 30
mixes
years.
Essentially.
I mean, anyway.
Yeah. You're in the room essentially doing the same thing.
Right.
Just slightly different with fills and left and right mains.
Like in live music, like back in the big analog console days, you know, you'd have subgroups, and you would bus everything from your drums would be a stereo subgroup, and then the bass is everything had.
You still kind of do it. I mean, you still kind of do it that way now,
right?
Yeah.
But that translates really well.
Yeah,
to Atmos.
That's true.
You know, because you're kind of training your brain to do that.
Do you view it as, in your mind, more mixing, more mastering, or like where if left is the mixing and right is the mastering, like where in the spectrum does that fall? Do you feel like
they're both?
It's kind of both.
They're woven. They're woven
in the Atmos side of things,
right? Because you're not. The Atmos is your master.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's like you're not sending it to a separate mastering engineer,
right? So it needs to
do the Atmos
mastered.
mix.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you're kind of doing. You're kind of having to do both. But when you're thinking about it, I think, are you thinking about it in more of a mixing first capacity, and then kind of the mastering after the fact? Or are you kind of having to do both at the same time?
The more I do it, the more I don't worry about the overall volume output, because there's certain specifications. You have to be 18B LUFS on your output on an Atmos mix.
So when it collapses, it collapses to the rights.
So exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of like a mathematical equation that they figured out, that like that many speakers outputting that much volume in a
Once
at
if you were to collapse it down
then
to
it averages to 0.
Yeah. That makes yes.
So
that makes sense.
you know,
I mean, yeah, there's some
I
wacky
don't
math
really
there.
need to understand all that part. That's
no,
not,
but it is helpful from like a spec sheet perspective to like know that you don't have to make it. I mean, you still have to make it loud, but you don't have to make it like it's not the same type of situation that you're having to do.
And I mean, so once you wrap your head around that aspect of it, and you understand that you are basically creating a master. What I love about it is a lot of the frequencies that you have to carve out to get things to have a place in a stereo mix. You don't have to EQ as much in Atmos because that particular driver, that speaker, or the space that it's able to sit in doesn't share the same space with. You're not sharing the speakers. You're not.
Gotcha.
So you can leave a lot of the richness in your guitars, and they don't.
Interesting.
It doesn't muddy.
So you can do a more organic. Do you feel like you can get away with a little more like less processed
less EQ,
stuff?
less everything, and it sounds more organic, and it sounds more like what you would hear in a live.
Do you feel
space.
does it struggle to translate to the two? Well, I guess you're doing a different mix because like, and maybe this is for clarification because for myself and also for people who may not understand, but like when you're listening to something on Apple, let's say, and you switch between the spatial mix and the 2-bus mix or like the stereo normal mix, like what are people hearing from that? So is the stereo just the collapsed version of?
It depends.
So yeah, that's what I want to get into because like it does because like it does that I think is something that people don't. I myself don't fully understand either.
There's two methodologies.
Okay.
There's okay. Say you do a record and you're like, I want to get my stuff presented in Atmos.
Yeah.
So what I would ask from you is send me stems from your mix, which would be like your drums. Separate the drums, the bass. I might want the overheads separate. We would talk about the type of production it is and about what you'd want. And then when you render those files, render them through your 2-bus so that they're at least getting the flavor.
So you're printing at least the sauce on the 2-bus.
You're printing some sauce, right? And then I get that. And when I listen to your mix, and then I try to EQ and compress and emulate your mix,
but just in a different environment.
So that's
interesting.
That's one approach.
But then you're actually doing this today, where you're doing an Atmos first mix.
Yeah.
And then it's collapsing, and then the stereo is just a collapsed down version of that.
Is a stereo 2.0 version of that mix.
So explain that. So you're doing this you were literally doing this today. We were listening to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a new approach. And I love Mark Webb's the artist I'm working with, and he's brave enough to trust me.
Yeah, but Mark's a great dude also. Like, shout out Mark Webb. He's killer. He also tracks a lot for us here. He does a lot of acoustic tracking for us here.
Yeah,
does
he's
a great job. He's all over records that we've worked on here at the studio.
But I love that he's like, being trusting this process.
Yeah.
So we did one song where it's Atmos first, and when it folded down, it was an experiment. It folds down to the 2.0. We listened to it, and we're like, man, this really sounds great.
Yeah, dude.
And then so he's like, well, let's do it again.
Yeah.
So the Atmos first, I'm gonna just be straight with it. I have no idea like how it all folds down to the 2.0. There's a mathematical equation, and you can control like how much of what particular aspect of the feed.
But it's all the same
out
mix.
Of the bed. It's all the same mix. But folds down to your stereo. Well, it folds down to 5.1. It folds down to a binaural mix.
Okay.
And these are all available in Pro Tools. So when it folds down to the 2 mix, I noticed that I didn't make the extreme cuts on a lot of the
because you're mixing it like you would starting with the
Atmos, where that's on the forefront.
Yeah.
And the 2.0, when it folded down, it worked great. And I was like, so what is it doing?
Yeah.
That makes it
fit
still work and have clarity
together,
and have the clarity.
Because on a 2-bus mix, you would normally have to do a lot more cutting
Dolby's
and processing.
Figured it out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what I would say. I'd say
they're doing something in the fold down process.
I think so. That compensates
some of that and like is piecing some of those things together in a harmonious way, I guess.
In a pleasing way.
That's crazy. I'll have to look into that. That's nuts. Because I am very curious on that side of it. It works. It works apparently. It works. Like, I listened to it today and it sounds great. So it's like, and like, what's the rule? It sounds good. It is good, right? So it's like, hey, man, if it works and you can start with the Atmos side, get the kind of more complicated part out of the way while you're doing the mix.
Right. And what we love about it is, imagine the time and the cost that you're saving the artist in the long run.
For sure.
Because if I'm spending the time on one Atmos mix and then the fold down is the stereo that's presented, someone's not doing all that work with the stereo and then rendering stems,
which, as me and Brad both know, takes forever.
It takes like an extra hour of work.
But you do that across a record, 5 to 10 songs.
Exactly, it's a day.
That's an entire day right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, day
and a half sometimes.
And if you can offer that to your client at a little bit less than it would normally cost to do both, you're saving them money. They're getting a great product, and you're also accomplishing the same goals.
So we'll get into a little more, but Sugar Immersive is your stuff.
Sugar Immersive,
and that is kind of based out of here in the upstate South Carolina, but you kind of do stuff all over the place, and you do a lot of stuff for here. You've done stuff for Jesse, who's been on the podcast before. I think you're working on a record that I am currently producing. That Private Violet record is coming to you after me.
So we'll talk about your stems.
So we'll talk about that. Yeah. And honestly, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to figure that part out, because I don't think me and you have done this process before together. But I already know they've agreed to do it. So I'm like pumped about that. Those like 4 or 5 songs that they're doing are going through that process.
Awesome.
So that'd be super fun. If anybody wants to check it out, go to sugarimmersive.com and they can. There's all kinds of examples. There's all sorts of examples.
I try to stay current with what I've done. There, I have a page that has thumbnails. You can click on it and go listen to.
Sick.
Yeah.
So and if people reach out, you can talk to them about that, and you can answer a lot more questions that are specific to your case. I feel like, and this is something that you and Brad actually talked about whenever. It was kind of after, it was a couple of years ago, whenever you were building out the space and we were talking about it all. And it's like, there's a severe lack of content and information out there surrounding like the Atmos stuff. And maybe because it's still kind of fresh in the general public. Like for us audio nerd people, it's been in the conversation. Labels kind of drive a lot of this. And so like, when we are working on label projects, like it's becoming a part of the standard. It's the standard deliverables package, along with instrumental performance tracks, like all that kind of stuff. Now we're starting to get, and that's part of the reason why we're doing the Private Violet stuff this way, is like, it's a standard deliverable practice now at this point for like larger scale projects.
I did stuff for UMG and Big Machine, and
it was part of the deal.
Their deliverables. I mean,
I remember when we were working on that record here at the studio, and it's like, part of and it actually turned out that like a reason that we got that project was because you were here, and it was easier for them to just like have it all come through the one spot here. Which is the reason why a lot of the big mixers like Sean Moffat and some of the other guys that we've talked with, are getting a lot more work in that realm as well, and like the CCM
Well,
realm,
he can just do both.
because he can do both.
Yeah, we went to Sean's house. He was cool.
Yeah. Sean's
Yeah.
a killer dude, and he's got a wild setup.
Yeah.
But as you were trying to figure out all of this like stuff, was it a lot of trial and error for you? Did you reach out to people like Sean who are doing this stuff, or were you did you just kind of wing it and figure it out in the earlier times? Because I mean, you've been doing the
YouTube, man. It's
YouTube, and I think you've been doing, I think I could be wrong, but I think you've been doing the spatial audio stuff for like what, 3 years at this point, probably
going on 3 years.
Yeah, it's about to be 3. We're coming up on the 3 year.
Right.
Of this.
So I think instrumental in the first phase was I would watch Jeff Huskins. He had a great little he hasn't been doing I haven't seen a lot of stuff he's doing, but he does Atmos for BMG. And I loved his openness about he would create a template, and he would show everybody like, here's how you do it and here's why, and he really went into the details. So anybody that wants to learn how to do Atmos, I suggest you go watch Jeff Huskins. And
he's the only one with like a series really about it on YouTube at the
I mean, there's a couple of guys out there.
Well, maybe
at
the time that you were learning about this,
at the time, for sure,
he was the only guy.
For sure.
I'm sure now there are more people that are kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
But even then, I feel like from what I saw, from what I think it was either you or Brad showed it to me, like his series on this was kind of the most in-depth version of anything that was out there.
Right. I'm like, one thing I learned about not reinventing the wheel by starting building guitars, was like, don't do that. Like Jeff is he already has a system, so I basically emulated what he was doing, and then I started developing some of my own, ideas and styles. But as far as laying the groundwork, it's funny. I got to go meet him. So Brad and I went there and we did like a little interview. He took us into his studio and we got to listen to some of the mixes I'd done on his gear. And we have the exact same monitoring setup. I was like,
the Genelec system?
Yeah.
Nice.
I had no idea that, like, I didn't realize that, like, and I was talking to him about his setup, and it's basically exactly what I had.
And so, and for clarifying for people, you have your 4.1.9 is all Genelec. Is your sub Genelec?
It's a 7.1.4.
7.1.4 Genelec system.
All Genelec, yeah.
Yeah, and UAD for your hardware.
Yes, yeah. X16.
X16 for the hardware. Yeah. Okay,
works great.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. X16 and I think like X4. And I think X4 on the desk.
That's the other thing. Like, Universal Audio doesn't have a ton of, like, they don't tell everybody how easy it is to do.
Well, because
Atmos.
Yeah, they don't. It's not really their.
It's not their thing.
It's not their thing. But it is pretty easy to do Atmos
great.
on their stuff. It definitely helps that.
Yeah.
I would say their console system is the reason. I was talking with my buddy Seth about this the other day, because he uses the Antelope audio stuff, and he was complaining about like their software and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we use Antelope here at in the main room, and it
sounds incredible. I mean, I was an RME guy for a while. I had Lynx converters. I'd have everything.
But the software side of all of those things are kind of a nightmare, and it is what makes the UAD stuff like really, really cool, is the software side of it. And I feel like because their software is so intuitive and so integrative into their output systems and like the way everything works, it is kind of easy to say this needs to go to this output. And like for something like Atmos, you kind of need that flexibility.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to send out, like you said, how many speakers is it total in your room minus the sub?
Be 11.
Be 11, yeah. So 11 and a sub, like you kind of need to have some flexibility when it comes to sends and outputs and stuff.
Yeah, you have to have enough outputs, to do it.
But yeah, so yeah, that's your system, is the full Genelec. What are all the Genelec speaker numbers?
I think mine are the 8320s.
Okay.
I think that's the model
Yeah,
number.
full, and all 11 of your main
Yeah.
speakers are the 8320s.
Yeah.
And then the sub.
And then the sub and
which I think there's only like 1 or 2 subs that they offer anyway, and it's the bigger one.
yeah.
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 Yeah, so and then the UAD, all that stuff on the output. Yeah, so and you said he was using a very similar like speaker setup and all that?
I think he uses, I think his converter was the
The RME?
MAM converter.
Oh.
The MAM system,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I think. That doesn't matter. I mean,
No,
it's how you're
negligible.
directing traffic.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
Especially in this scenario.
that's all it is.
Yeah, in this scenario, yeah, it matters a little less. 'Cause you're not really tracking
I
anything.
like being in the UAD world because I'm a producer and a player and you know,
It translates to a
I'm
lot
actually
of other things.
I'm doing a record for this guy, and we're doing all Luna
Oh, yeah.
because I mean, he does like atmospheric stuff. So I was like, let's do this record in Luna with a API extension.
Yeah.
And it sounds
I did it with
great going
I did
in.
it with an SSL extension for a record one time for, I think they had all the band tracking done and I just did the vocals, but we did it on essentially what basically ended up being an SSL console.
Yeah.
And it was very cool.
Isn't it cool?
It's very sick.
It has a little bit of.
I don't know if I could use it. Me and Jesse talked about this one time because I think he went through I think you may have turned him on to.
Yeah, he does. He exports his stems through Luna.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think there was a time where he was like mixing in Luna and like testing in that and stuff. And I did a couple productions in Luna, and it's like, it's so close to being amazing.
A year from now.
But it's not. And it doesn't have a lot of the there's just some like quality of life stuff that's just not quite there.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. It's really
sonically
cool.
Though, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That whole API extension thing and you know, where you can have everything run
you can
through
pick
analog tape.
basically pick different consoles.
And if you have enough hardware, you know, you're not eating up your CPU at all with
Well, if you have an X16,
right,
you should have plenty of CPU outboard. The outboard CPU should be plenty to run mixing channels.
Man, I'll find a way to run out of whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You use like 4 different
never
things.
have enough.
You use like 4 different things. Yeah,
you're gonna
but
use.
it's at least enough for each channel strip.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah, dude. So okay, so you kind of went up there and you learned from him. Jeff Huskins.
Yeah, I just wanted affirmation about what I was doing.
You kind of watched what he did, replicated it, and then you and Brad went up and talked to the man face to face.
Yeah, hung out with him,
and then checked all your stuff on his stuff and kind of saw what he did as well. And you were like, "Yeah, we're doing the thing.
We're doing the thing.
We're doing the thing." Yeah, because it wasn't the only. It also wasn't the only Atmos rig you went and saw, right?
We went to Apple, and they were super gracious. Brought us into their room. And
you saw Sean's room.
Went to Sean's house, saw his room. I mean, and everything translated perfectly, and I was like, okay, so
you're doing it.
I figured it out.
Yeah, you got the thing. Yeah, that's great. I feel like what you said. It's like there's something to be said for not, at least in the beginning, not reinventing the wheel. There's always time like later.
Yeah.
To like figure that out. And whether it's like sound front of house, I feel like front of house.
You do it out of necessity.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, yeah.
For sure. And it's like whether it's front of house or building guitars, like you referenced before, it's like, yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel up front. Fender and Gibson did a lot of the legwork.
They did it all.
They did a lot of the legwork.
Yeah.
And like within those parameters, you can make some changes.
Exactly.
And same for Jeff Huskins. It's like Jeff did a lot of legwork when it comes to, and like he worked for Apple, building out all of this Atmos stuff because he was the guy for these it was specifically.
Yeah, he does
BMG and a couple other things.
Yeah.
Maybe Atlantic. And so it's like, all that stuff, he was very much on the forefront of a lot of that. And it's like, okay, let's just go talk to the guy who kind of helped establish this. And like you said, same for the front of house world. It's like, I was talking with a guy yesterday, actually, who was like, he was talking about another guy who is a PM, a production manager for a tour. And he was like, the production manager, who's not a light designer, he's not an LD, built a lighting package, and it was way over budget.
Yeah.
Like by a lot.
Right.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Like we're talking, they're doing at most 2,000 cap rooms, but they're rolling up with 2 semis.
Yeah.
It's like, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
It's wasting money, man.
Yeah, it's just too much. So they had to cut it down, obviously. But in what he said was, it's like, hey, if I'm a PM and I'm not an LD by trade, like prior, because I'm a front of house guy, and I need to build a light package, who am I going to call? An LD, I would hope.
You would hope.
You would hope a light designer who can help me like build this thing out in general capacities of what we're going to be touring in, not necessarily like what I think is cool.
And what works and what's practical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not buying 24, outdoor arena level blinders because you don't need that much output.
I mean, we don't even with Corey, we've never carried any light package. We have huge blow through backdrop.
Sure.
We have
and this is a hip hop dude. So it's like light package is the show.
Yeah. And I see that. So, I mean, I feel kind of fortunate that we really don't carry a lot of that stuff because then, there's more personnel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just one more mouth feed.
Maybe even 2. Because you'll have primary LD and then you'll have backstage LD assistant.
I figured out through the years, I know all the any venue. We've been at almost every venue in the United States. I've been doing a long time. I know the people. I can just call them and say, okay, here's what I want.
For sure.
And the LDs are usually really happy that they're not just plugging something in for someone else. They want to be part of the artistic expression.
Like we said, it's a part. Like everyone should be.
So you just coach them a little bit about here's what we expect
exactly,
and then do your thing. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Donnie, let's do a run through of like all the things for you. So, if people want to go see you do a live thing, Corey's doing live shows. Probably not so much because we're near the end of the year right now.
Corey's special. Yeah, we'll start back up probably end of January.
Yeah,
and be all over.
So go if you want to hear Donnie Mix live, go check out Corey Smith.
Come say hey.
Come say what's up. He'll nerd out with you.
Yeah.
And then for the guitar stuff, it's Sugar Guitars. I'll have some B-roll and of some of the guitars and at Catlin's guitar specifically that I'll show off, and then a couple others. And for that's sugarguitars.com if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then Sugar Immersive is the Atmos stuff. So if you're a producer who's self-producing and mixing and you want Atmos stuff, or if you're an artist that you're like, oh, I think doing I would love to try the Atmos first.
Dude, I love
thing.
It too. Yeah.
People could reach out, sugarimmersive.com, or just hit him up on Instagram or something like that. He'll be glad to have a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would love that. I'd love to, any producer that's out there that wants to experiment or try to get in.
And what I was going to say is I think where it's really cool is like building you out, like kind of how you've become here is like a part of an extension of the team, where it's like, in the same way that, and then me as a producer primarily, like this is kind of the way that I think. It's like I mix, but I don't always like to mix. I like to have other guys that mix really, really well that sometimes I'll send stuff to. I can do mastering, but I'd prefer to have an external mastering engineer. Yeah. And in that same breath, I think having like an immersive audio, a spatial audio person as a segmented part of that team, whether it's, oh, we're doing this specifically for, a certain sound, of a more live feeling sound. Donnie's going to mix it from the beginning and then collapse it down, or it's going to go through the team and Donnie's going to get the immersive mix. Right. Like, I feel like people, even if people are interested in reaching out to you in that capacity as like being a part of the line item of the team, I think that is probably where it would be the most beneficial to have the conversation with you.
I love the idea that I can learn. I learn your style. Like if
Mhm.
I'm doing something for Jesse,
Yeah.
I know that I know
Which is
like
primarily
I
pop
know what
country
Jesse
stuff.
does, pop
Yeah.
country stuff, and he's got a great ear. Like
Oh,
his stereo mixes are fantastic.
yeah.
The stuff you do is great. I've heard a
Thank
lot
you.
of your stuff you do. And and the stuff Brad does.
Killer.
Everybody,
Yeah.
it all sounds a little bit different. And if I can interpret
Yeah.
that in a way that you like
For
and the
sure.
artist likes, and I get to know, what, and you can, and after a while, you'll go, I don't even need to talk. I know what I'm going to send him.
For sure. For
You know,
sure. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just cut that again. It cuts down on that familiarity, and
Mhm.
so
For sure.
yeah, call me.
Yeah, dude. Well, Donnie, thanks for coming and hanging out, dude.
Yeah,
Thanks for being on.
man. Thanks for having me.